Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Breakfast at Ruby's. We have a full house again this week. Very excited to be here. We're going to be spilling all the tea and talking about all the different topics that we have in store for you all today. My name is Ruby. You can catch me on Twitch every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We actually film these live every week. So if you want to watch the pre and after show, it's a good old time. We talk about a lot of different things that probably will never make it to the actual show. But, it's fine. Next to me, I have Kisos. Hello.
Hi everyone, my name's Kisos and I love to squirt. And you can find me on Twitch and also on Spotify and stuff because I make music too.
Yes. Stream He Didn't Want Me.
Yes. And then cry.
Yes. Right over here, we have Passion. Hi.
Hi, I'm Passion. I too love to squirt.
Mood.
I'm a trans drag queen and a pop culture enthusiast and also a part-time Twitch streamer whenever I feel like.
Yes. Stream, no, you don't, sorry, you don't, I can't say
You
that.
can stream Passion Pit discography.
There you go. There you go. Not related, not the same person, but do that. Good music, I heard. And then, last but not least, we have Chalora. Hello.
Hi, I love skirts.
What's with this theme today?
They're versatile and easy to wear.
Skirts are skirt shorts?
Yes.
Isn't that just a skirt?
No,
it's
a
like a
skirt
skirt with like
under.
shorts built in, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like if you don't want to expose your full coochie, then it's just like
Right.
give
You
'em
can't
a
have like a windblown moment.
little nibble, you know?
A nibble.
Oh my god. Anyway, where can people find you, Chalora?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and Twitch at Chalora. Or
Yeah.
Chalora Laura.
Do it. Do all of it. What should they stream? Because you don't have your own Spotify either. So what do you recommend people to stream on Spotify?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, whatever they enjoy. It makes them happy.
Oh, so wholesome. Yes.
Me and Kisos just force things on people.
Yeah. Stream this. I'm desperate. I need money. I need my half a penny.
Yes.
Stream what everybody else said.
Yes.
I'll take that.
Alrighty, so we have a bunch of interesting topics to talk about. They're all pretty unrelated to each other, but we're gonna start, I guess, with a highlight of the past week, which was the Super Bowl. Not for me. I don't care about sports, especially sports that don't have anything to do with my own country. But I do care about the halftime show, especially when it's pop divas, legends, slaying the stage. And this year was, I feel like, one of the best in a while, because we had Shakira and J-Lo, and oh my god, it was everything. One thing that I want to get out of the way is I immediately hate the concept of, oh, the two of them are going to be performing, so let's say, who was best. No. They both did amazing because they both have very different styles of performing, and they both showcased different, dance styles within their own cultures and stuff. So that's just something that I want to get out of the conversation, because, I don't want to be saying, oh, she did better, or she did this, or she did that. In my own personal thing, I'm more connected to J-Lo's discography than I am with Shakira's. So that's why I was bumping every time she was every time a song came up, I was like, oh my god. With Shakira, I obviously recognized everything, but I don't know, for some reason J-Lo just has the bigger bops for me. But the two of them did such an incredible job. Overall, what did you all think about the performance, about the halftime show? Let's start with Kisos.
I thought it was cute.
Yeah.
I won't say that anyone did better than anyone else, but I did want a little more production value. Like when Shakira was kicking it off, I was like, okay, she's hitting it.
Mm-hmm.
She's hitting it. And then I was like waiting for something to happen, and then the thing that happened was J-Lo came out, and I was like, okay. And then like it got more exciting once the two of them were on stage together and doing their thing and stuff. But I thought it was cute, and I didn't realize that the little girl who was singing along with her was her daughter.
Me neither.
And it's funny because Kevin was like, "Is that her daughter?" And I'm like, "I don't think so." Like I'd seen pictures of her a couple times before, and Kevin was like, "I think that's her daughter," and I'm like, "Oh, I guess maybe." And then yeah, it was. And also some background tea. I just think it's funny. This has nothing really to do with the halftime show. It kind of does. But so I just think it's funny how and no, I just think no, I'm okay. I just think it's funny how so like someone who gets that much money from like the Super Bowl and stuff, you know, like J-Lo got money. And if I may put her on blast for a moment, one of my friends actually somehow through a crazy thing got hooked up to teach her kids for a year. So she taught Max and Emmy like as her teacher, like at J-Lo's house in New York City and sometimes in Florida and sometimes in LA. And they barely paid her like $40,000. They paid for her travel, but they did not pay her enough. And I'm like, oh my gosh, J-Lo, like you are, it kind of just clicked for me while I was watching the Super Bowl. I was like, you mean she has this Vegas residency? She's doing like one of the biggest shows in the world right now. And she cannot pay, you know, that's barely an NYC living wage, you know, like 40K. So I was just like, but it was great. It was really cool. It was really exciting. I loved like the ass shake off. I loved J-Lo's like her. I didn't realize she was so good at like pole dancing.
Right.
Like she did some moves. So it was cute. I liked it. I had a good time. And I like football too. So that was good until like then the 49ers lost. So then I was like, okay, I'm going home. Bye.
Aw. What about you, Passion?
It just reinstated how much I love pop music. Honestly.
Right?
Like the takeaway from it, you know, I can read J-Lo down as much as I want to, but
Can't we
I
all?
can't deny like she has, like euphoric anthems, like absolutely. But I thought they did all like the pop gays very proud. I think they did a really good job, and I don't really have anything negative to say about them. I would say in agreement with Kisos that Shakira didn't have like an oomph that J-Lo did, because the stand-up for me for J-Lo set was when they did Mi Gente, and it turned into like an EDM remix of it, and she was like whipping her hair like crazy with the backup dancers, and I was like,
I don't even remember. I should have watched it again. I feel like that was only a few days ago and I already forgot.
I rewatched it
I've watched it about like 3 times. And then of course going through my timeline and seeing like
that's true, the clips,
the reposts. But yeah, they did really good. I thought the set list was very solid. The only choice I thought was a bit like was like Shakira doing a track that wasn't like a hit, which was Empire from like her last album. So you know, the girl's gotta plug a recent album as much as she can. But yeah, overall very well. I thought the guests were pretty good. I would have liked to have seen Rihanna for Can't Remember to Forget You.
Oh, of course.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And I would have maybe liked to have seen Cardi B during J-Lo's because she was in attendance.
She was literally watching.
That's true.
Yeah, there were a couple like missed opportunities, but yeah, best Super Bowl in the past like 10 years, I would say. And I think it's on par with Beyonce for me. And then just above Gaga. And yeah.
Yeah,
pretty good.
It was really awesome. What did you think, Chalora, watching?
I'm just watching it now
Oh yes.
because I don't know. I have never actually watched a single halftime show.
Interesting.
Ooh.
But like when I went to search for it, it said that they didn't get paid.
You don't get paid?
It said that neither Shakira nor J-Lo got paid for the gig.
Huh.
Was the first article that showed up.
Oh. Wow.
I tried to like skim it, but it didn't really talk about how they didn't get paid.
That's weird.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
But I'll have to read more into it. But
Yeah, I was like, oh, I want to look that up.
Did they get paid in exposure?
Yeah,
Oh my
I'm like,
God.
girl, they don't need to. I
I
mean, their
love
music
that.
did go back up the charts and stuff, but still.
it's a bit stupid.
Right.
I think that what I've seen of Shakira so far. Sorry again.
Live reactions with Chalora.
She doesn't even seem like super high energy, but she's definitely like like moving her body and getting into it all. So
Yeah,
I think that
she doesn't have to give like any effort. That's the one thing in comparison with JLo and Shakira is that I will give JLo her dues and her props, but like Shakira is very effortless with her like choreography and their movement. Like even when for the finale, spoiler alert, Laura, but when they came together and they did like I wouldn't call it like a dance off, but kind of like a collaborative dance off. They when Shakira was doing like the legwork for Waka Waka,
Oh yeah.
it was like there was no effort there at all, and it was all like she knew it like the house down, and it was like, oh, it's I don't know, I was really happy just watching it, and like the political statements too.
Yeah, I
they
didn't even
made
bring those
with
up, girl.
with the cages and with the flag, and yeah, they did it. I think they did it justice, and I really hope that this sets a bar maybe for like duo halftime shows in the future.
Yeah.
Just to throw in like another topic, does anybody have any suggestions for future halftime shows, especially with duos?
Ooh, for duos, I haven't really thought about it. But I think it would be cool to have not like in a duo way, but have like maybe different like 3 to 4 artists do different like things. I really enjoyed, and I wish we got more of moments of the two of them together on stage.
Yeah.
And it was a huge missed opportunity for them to like, they could have easily come up with a duet single that probably would have skyrocketed to #1 everywhere. And they could have like performed it there.
Thank you, Ruby. Thank you for bringing in the music marketing aspect.
Like,
thank you.
Everybody was like, everybody clocked every time they got out of the stage. They were like, oh, JLo is coming out of the stage because it's Shakira's turn. And then Shakira did her dance thing, and then JLo did her own. And I was just kind of like, okay, really? Like, they barely had moments together. And I do think those moments, while small, they were very powerful. Like Shakira hugging JLo at the end, and like that message of like two powerful women coming together, and like that, the ending was like the two of them were like, we did that, you know what I mean? Like they knew that they slayed, and they knew that they did incredible. I just thought it was weird that they didn't have any history of collaborating, and they didn't even think of collaborating for the performance.
They didn't even like share any of their other collaborations with other people too. That they could have easily done like Beautiful Liar, or they could have, done the Rihanna collaboration that Shakira has. Like there's
Yeah.
Right,
many
and just
things that they could have like hopped into, yeah. And even if they released like a live version of it, people would have still ate it up.
That's true too. See? Hello, hire us. We're a great team. Look at us go.
Hire us with the ideas. I definitely think that JLo had the production value. You could tell, like, I think she had more dancers. She had more like flashy props. She had costume reveals. She's a Vegas girl, so she definitely came with like stunts after stunts. And Shakira, like you guys said, you all said was more effortless, and she was, when the thing is, like, even if the environment around her wasn't super flashy, when she had those moments of like looking at the camera, and they had close-ups of her looking at the camera and stuff like that, you could just tell like she's exuding this aura. While with JLo, she's more of a spectacle, if that makes sense. What I will give props to JLo about is her pre-recorded track was more believable.
Was it even pre-recorded? She seemed like she wasn't lip syncing. Shakira seemed like she was. JLo seemed like I wasn't sure.
I think JLo was
J-Lo
an effortless back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that Shakira's, especially during She-Wolf, I think there were a couple of moments where I was like, oh, I'm clocking it here. But I would at least prefer them doing pre-recorded than using like the live track.
Yeah.
Which Britney is notorious for, and I hate it.
True.
But using like dated vocals as an acapella is like the worst attempt.
Yeah. That's what
Well, we're
Shakira
quickly on
did.
the
I was like,
topic.
oh no, is this Britney? I'm getting flashbacks of Britney using her 1998 recording of Baby One More Time.
I want to see Britney and Christina do it though.
Yes.
That would be crazy. That would be a good one.
That would be
Valley
cool.
said Sharon Madonna.
Oh, that would be
also be
really
cool.
cool.
Madonna already did it though in 2012.
Yeah, same with Hope Leo. I was like Adam Lambert and Gaga. Those are good matches though.
I think that even though Madonna has been on, Beyonce also was on, and she popped in for the Coldplay one, I think.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they slip as like guest, but they won't ever headline.
Yeah,
again.
so I think Madonna could have like a surprise. Imagine like all of them as like grown-ups now and having not I don't want them to do like Hollywood or like a Virgin again, but that moment of the three of them on stage again would be really iconic with another song maybe.
Oh my God! Think about if they did Moulin Rouge with like.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Christina did it,
So when is?
yes.
Yeah, that would be so cool. Like Pink already did a halftime show, and then Britney could fill in for someone. I don't know.
Britney could easily
be cute.
Britney could do her thing with Maya's part, I think. She could do her own
Yeah,
like
but that's Erasure.
True.
Erasure!
For them to get Maya though.
Maya deserves.
She
We get, like,
she does. She
We
does.
get a halftime show with all like the early 2000s R&B girls, please.
Yes.
Bring everyone.
I
Yeah, no,
would
I'm
love
just thinking
that.
about everything.
You know what would be
Maybe
fierce
Ashanti
as
can
well?
finally sing her vocals.
Yeah, that's what Kevin was saying. He was like, "Oh, Shakira and Ashanti are doing a show together."
Oh.
And who else was it? Like Christina Milian or something? I don't know. I feel like J Lo had a lot of people's vocals.
J-Lo had her ground though. Like she was singing her own vocals, and I'll give her.
Yeah.
For at least
No, she did her
knowing
thing.
where the backlash would have came from.
And I saw an article too that Jay-Z, who I guess was helping like book, or I guess he's in partnership with the Super Bowl and like with Rock Nation, you know, booking like the music for the Super Bowl. I saw an article that said that he was trying to get J-Lo to not do like her symbolic part with like the children in the cages. I don't know about the Puerto Rican
Oh.
flag part. And she was like, "No, girl, we gonna do it." And so I'm glad that she pushed for that and her team pushed for that, and that it actually came through, because I think that was really, really important for, you know, Americans, I should say United Statesians, to not just see these quote unquote sexy, spicy Latinas doing their, being sexy and spicy Latinas. You know, like J-Lo was like, "No, we're gonna put in a moment here."
Yeah.
You know, and have this, and we're going to talk about Puerto Rico being a part of the U.S., and we're going to talk about children in cages at the border, and y'all are going to be mad at us, and it's perfect because this is like the biggest show of the year,
And they were mad.
and they were mad.
yeah.
For
Yes.
the backlash of the clothing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't even think they understood the cages reference. They're probably just like, "Wow, look at these kids and these beautiful orbs." Puerto Rican flag, they probably didn't even recognize. They're just like, "Wow, the U.S. flag
Oh, the
looks
US
great. I love that new
flag, yeah.
design."
Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
My dumbass
were
was like,
mad,
"Why
though.
are they singing 'Let's Get Loud'? Like that's such a random choice to get a choir of children to sing." And then I went on Twitter the next day, and people were
Yeah.
like, yeah, they were in cages. They were saying 'Let's Get Loud', born in the USA." I was like, "Oh, my dumbass."
I mean, if you're not in the U.S., you don't always know, you know, the full weight of things or like how things fit together. So it's not as easy to like pick up on the insinuations or the symbolic stuff, even if it's like not the deepest connection.
For sure. I don't really get super emotional about stuff like that, but I randomly got recommended a channel with it was like a group of like 6 Latin American individuals reacting to the Super Bowl performance, and them getting excited and getting all the little references, because on Twitter people had to explain the like that sound that everybody turned into a meme of Shakira, the dances that they were doing, and they were like recognizing the styles of the dances that the two of them were doing, and they clocked the references when they were saying with the cages and Born in the USA and all that stuff, and them getting emotional at the end. I was like, oh my god, like I got excited about every Latino in America, like looking at these two goddesses representing them in such an amazing way in the midst of all of the political shenanigans going on in the country. I was like, oh, they really like needed and deserved this. Chalora is like, nope, we're dropping shit.
Shook. The weight of it all.
Are you dropping political things on me?
Do you mind if I briefly bring up how Beyonce and Jay-Z were sat during the national anthem?
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I heard a little buzz about that.
Yeah. So TMZ were the one who published a fan shot video, and it showed the two being seated while Demi Lovato was belting, yelling.
Oh.
The she did it. She did it justice. She did good. But yeah, I'm not surprised, and I think people shocked by Beyonce making a political statement regarding Black lives and everything at this point. Like, the girl released Beyonce and Lemonade.
Right.
Like, please, it's kind of similar to how they treated Beyonce when she paid homage to oh my god, I can't remember, when she was at the Super Bowl and she was basically like inherently like, I'm black, and people were like, what, Beyonce's black? Whoa.
Right.
She's not just an
It's kind of like
entertainer.
this weird reaction that like people kind of like erase Beyonce's blackness, and it's like that's kind of been the point of her music throughout the past decade.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that she did that, and I'm sure she didn't think anything of it when she did it, and she just knew, I'm not going to stand up. And I'm sure many other people were also sat down.
Yeah, I wonder if Jay-Z was like, girl, now that I hear that too, that he was sitting down, but he was trying to stop J-Lo with the other thing. I'm like, was Beyonce like, bitch, you are gonna sit down, Jay.
Right?
Chin onto the hand. Girl,
Yeah. Like, Blue Ivy's like, daddy, you better sit your ass down or you're gonna get a spanking tonight.
Oh, that was it. Black Panther, sorry.
And I did
yeah.
think it was. I think I saw the picture, and they weren't the only people sitting down. So maybe it was like,
No, there was like a white couple next to them as well.
Solidarity. Come on, allies.
yes. So I don't know. It could have been a moment where some people were already standing up. I don't know, but some weren't yet, or whatever. Like, I don't know. It's just a picture. So they could have just...
it was like a faux video.
Oh, I only
Demi
saw a picture.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, there was a video that was released by someone like the row over next to them, just recording. I'm sure they knew. They were petty, and they were probably like, "Yeah, I'll get some clout for this."
We'll cancel Beyonce.
Yeah.
Oh, they tried. You know who else tried? Like, people were saying that Demi's... I didn't watch the national anthem, but
Me neither. I just saw the end.
But they were saying that she was like as good as Whitney, or the best since Whitney. And the best read that I saw on social media was, she and Whitney may have had something else in common, but that wasn't it, sis.
Oh my god.
So
they're going wild.
Listen, the articles saying this aren't specifically. It's not like coming from Demi's mouth. So I feel like
for
Demi
sure,
is like the worst thing
for
to
sure
get away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm noticing like a lot of people are resorting to that, and I kind of just like ignore Demi now. Like, she's had some bops, but she's still counteracting with Scooter Braun, and I don't want to be any part of that. Same goes for Ari and everyone else. I just choose to not listen or pay attention to them anymore. And I saw the performance. I thought that she did good, but it wasn't anything. I don't know, like the Star Spangled banger.
If only.
The Miley Cyrus edit bangers.
Yes.
God, I want that now. But I have only seen like a handful of performances, and I know when people have like vocals, but the song for me just doesn't like do anything.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Like, and it surprises me that so many people are still like running to the chance to perform it too. I know it's like a dedication to like your country, and you get like good press from it, and you're in the good books of conservatives too if you do it. So I can see how you benefit off it, but at the same time, like, do people really still like this when they're actually performing it?
Oh, when they're performing it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
they just see it as
like
publicity, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I were gonna perform it, I feel like I wouldn't be doing it for like the meaning of the song. I wouldn't even think about that. I'm just like, okay, time to get in front of all these people. Time to get my name out there.
Showcase my vocals.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know about the States, but I know in Canada, every morning when you go to school, you have to stand up and sing it. Is that the same
we
in
had
the States?
We had a Pledge of Allegiance,
Right,
but not like singing the song. It was, I don't even remember what it is.
Every morning.
Every
Yes.
morning you go to school and they would play the national anthem and you had to sing along with it.
By Lana Del Rey.
Yeah. I literally don't even remember what it is here. Like, oh wait, okay, wait, let me see.
Yeah,
I
the
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands under God, one nation, something indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Which sounds nice until you realize it's not true. Anyway.
That's wild. Like we never had anything like. Of course, we have a national anthem, but we don't like. We learned about it in school, but we didn't. I don't know. I think it was from my generation onwards, or a little bit earlier than that. They didn't do that anymore. I think when my country was at a position where it was more kind of an oppressive government kind of thing, people had that thing where they were every school, every classroom had a flag, and every classroom had a thing where they were like praising the country. Nobody was allowed to say anything bad about it. It was crazy. It was crazy. Media censorship, like it was insanity. So I think after that was done with, then people just, you learn about it, but you don't really do it like every day or anything like that. They only do it here, weirdly enough, at like when the national soccer team plays. The soccer teams usually do their own national anthem before the game. I don't know of any other occasion where our national anthem is a thing that people actually like sing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you said that, it reminded me that like I studied German in high school and college, and then I went there for a little bit, and they like I always learned that they don't really do a lot of that stuff because of they used to have, like Hitler in power and shit. And so they were like, let's just not talk about nationalism at all because we don't want that to ever happen again. Although now it's getting closer back to it. But like it was even like considered like bad to just display like a German flag as a German because it was like a sign that you were like too indoctrinated or dangerous or whatever. So it's really interesting how different countries' histories, change the way that we are brought up with like political ideologies.
Yeah, for sure. In what occasions, Passion, do you sing? Do you have a national anthem that you sing?
Yeah, we have God Save the Queen, which I don't know the lyric. Yeah, it's called lyrics. I was like, hang on.
Yeah, it is a
Like
song.
song.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't streamed her. I haven't, I tried to avoid it. But for me, like, I'm not very proud of being British. There, I said it. And I've always felt a lot of disconnection from being British. So it's been a weird one, and I've never really appreciated like the moments of it. But I've only ever seen it during like sport events, and I can't think of like any other times really. I'm trying to think. I think they usually do it when the Queen is like in presence of things. I'm sure she's sick of it. I'm sure she's like, girl, turn this shit down. I'm bored.
She's like, can we get a new one? Can we get a feature on this? Yeah. Can we get the Stormzy version? Like, come on.
Put our AirPods in.
Yeah.
But it is very like iconic, and I know a lot of people do still like stand by it, and we use it a lot for like memorials and stuff like that. So people still stand by it, but I've just never really got it. So that's why when I see the US equivalent of it and I see how people are very like passionate about it, I'm like, interesting.
I don't even know the full national anthem, to be completely honest with you. Like mine for
I don't think most people know their own, to be honest. So, like not word for word, at least.
I definitely don't. And there's occasions where sometimes soccer players get in trouble for it, kind of. And when I say get in trouble, it's like they don't get canceled, but people are like, oh, he didn't know the words. But like nobody actually cares. I feel like nobody actually cares.
There is another time that they use it. It's during the Queen's Christmas message, which happens every Christmas afternoon.
That's cute.
Yeah.
All right.
And a couple of political people have gotten backlash for not tuning in to that on Christmas Day.
Ooh.
When they've gone on like record to like say, I don't watch it.
Damn.
And then they've had to backtrack and be like, no, I've got the recording on my, like DVR. I'll go back to her later.
Yo.
That's funny.
Okay. Anyway, so in other news, this is actually very interesting, and Kiso's actually brought this to my attention, which is an article from Paper Mag that basically talked about censorship on Instagram and how that could be a good thing. So the specific thing that got mentioned was that Instagram is starting to, I guess, ban or get people in trouble for highly edited pictures. So they basically have a new system in their, I guess, report system where people could report something for being false information. And I think in their heads, they want to do that so that for celebrities who post or just general influencers who post unrealistic body types and unrealistic expectations of what people actually look like. And there's always like those accounts on Instagram that show the before and after of celebrities at events and that their edits and stuff like that. And people are kind of like, in a way that like there's one side that says like this is censorship and this is bad, and then there's the other side that says like maybe this could be good for teenagers growing up to look at Instagram and see realistic body types or realistic expectations of beauty. What do you all think? What do you think, Chalora?
I think it's accurate. Like, it kind of hinders back to a lot of magazine problems, like the way that, and I think that there's been a discussion about it before. If you haven't seen it, you can definitely do some research on it, but how models or even just regular people, like they'll do it with, what's her name? Her name is something Wilson. She's like a larger girl with blonde hair. She's
Rebel?
Rebel Wilson?
Rebel Wilson.
Yeah.
For example. And they'll put them on the cover, but then they'll just like, just slim it up a little bit over here and over there. And, they'll pull in the cheeks and, they do all this Photoshop stuff, which is just so unrealistic and it's not what real bodies look like. So I think it in a way, because Instagram is the new beauty standard for a lot of people, it can be really good. And like personally, I don't like to edit my photos just because I want people to see the authentic, even if it's like maybe bad photo quality or bad lighting or whatever. Like, I also don't know how to do that stuff, but I kind of like to see like the full authentic photos, because like also if people meet me in person, like at TwitchCon or just in person in general, I'm going to look the way that I look. It's not going to be like one of those Aja situations where she had a bunch of Facetune photos on Instagram. Everybody was excited to see her. And then she went on TV and it was like, oh gosh, what happened?
Right.
So I think that it's nice to edit your photos, especially if it's like, let's say you want the photo to be an art piece. I think that's fine to edit the photo because it's an art, but as a realistic standard of how people look or things like that, I think it's definitely valid to keep realistic body type and standards of what people actually look like.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a huge imposter syndrome situation. So like my thing is like it's a fear that I'm like, oh, if I edit the photo too much, if people meet me in person, they're gonna say like, you look nothing like your photo, or like you're completely different, or you're not as funny, or you're not as this or that. So I'm always like afraid. I'm like, oh. So I try to keep my editing to a minimum too. But what I'm afraid about this is some people, not saying everyone, but some people not really seeing the difference between a conceptual photo or art and then labeling that as like, oh, that's not realistic, or that's false information, that's not what people look like. And it's like, well, that's not supposed to be a representation of what people look like. It's a conceptual piece of art. So, but I feel like it's one of those things where they're going with the Twitch approach of saying something vague and then they will adapt according to context. And if we've known anything from Twitch's experience, that is not a good idea. You should clarify and say, you don't report art under this, you don't report this or that. Like, this applies to like you saying, oh, I just woke up, and then you snap a picture and like your background is distorted because you wanted to give yourself a snatched waist, and people are like, that's not realistic. People need to figure out that difference. But I don't think Instagram's policy of being vague about it is gonna help. You know what I mean? What do you think, Passion?
Yeah, the whole altering photos when it comes to like an artistic outlet, I can absolutely like get behind. I personally use like this Chinese app which I found on YouTube like years ago with like beauty gurus basically being like, oh, I use this to alter my photos and stuff. And ever since then, I've like used it ever since. And I know like the limit of where to alter things, but then I also know that I can manipulate photos as long as I intend on showcasing it as an artistic thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then I can also see the defense of people also labeling every single photo that they put of them, even if it's just a standard selfie, as just being art. So
yeah,
there's a lot of complications when it comes to like moderating images, because people can claim whatever they wish, and obviously your art is whatever you output. You can claim whatever the hell it is as art. You could take a picture of like cheese and just be like, this is art. And it could be to some people. But I think it's just maybe they need clarification now. Maybe there needs to be a couple boxes that you tick before you upload a photo now, where you label something as something else.
Mm-hmm.
And you maybe clarify like, this is a personal photo upload, or this is an artistic photo upload. And therefore they can go through their moderations of things. And then maybe if, either get reported as the wrong thing, they clarify with the user and they say it's been converted to this because it clarifies as that. And I guess that's the best thing that can come with it. But I don't know if necessarily like removing and censoring altered images is really like a step forward unless it's obvious. Because I know Kisos, you may be aware of this, but I don't know if any of you remember the situation with one of the Queer Eye members where they uploaded a photo of them and the door was basically like snatched. Like, it was like,
I don't think I knew.
I don't think yeah.
I think his name's like
Karama.
There we go. Yeah. I don't follow Queer Eyes much, but I've watched
Googling BRB.
But yeah, it was basically like the photo was like, and then it showed with like the door, and then people called it out, and he re-uploaded it, and when with the re-upload there were more errors. So everything.
God.
Poor guy.
He like changed like the way his phone looked as well in the altered image and stuff, and it was like, what's going on? It was like a pretty big deal within like the side of Twitter who kind of like call out people who kind of say like, oh, I'm too fat, even though they're like toned and stuff.
Yeah.
That sort of like Twitter always comes up on my like timeline, and they kind of reacted to this and was like, what's going on?
I'm trying to look at it. I just put it in the chat for you all to see. I'm like trying to look, but I can't really tell. Although I will say his body looks kind of like it's been painted. Like,
I gotta remember where the like errors is, and then when you see it, you'll be like, oh.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I believe it. It's literally in Reddit.
Oh yeah. Look at the phone.
I need to check it on my phone because I can't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see
the
the
shape
phone.
of the phone.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah, it's
true.
all like squished.
So if y'all want to follow along, you can literally just what did I Google? I think I just Googled Karamo Photoshop fail. Karamo is Karamo. And then
like,
there's a Reddit of it.
What exactly was he trying
Wait,
to?
you can post on in chat if you
I
want.
don't know.
Oh,
Well, because like stretching that part, like was he trying to make his bicep or his pectoral bigger, or like?
maybe
The
like
caption for it too says like someone reported this. On the second one, that is someone reported this. Why? I don't know. Bye, haters. And it's also the
Sorry.
fact that he put like dad bod and stuff.
yeah.
No, that's not accurate.
Oh,
I mean,
see.
technically, if he's a dad, it's a dad bod, but I don't know if he's a dad. But
Yeah,
still, he knows what he's doing there.
Yeah.
but it's like when you upload photos like that, and you could kind of like argue your way out of it and be like, it's like artistic manipulation. Is that then it's so easy to just slip past that kind of like barrier though, because they can't
Yeah.
censor every single look of art because they've already started censoring like hardcore slamming the hands down throughout the past few years on like nudity.
Mm-hmm.
So soon enough they're gonna kind of like push away artists at some point, and a lot of like drag performers and stuff do manipulate their photos as a way of being like, this is how I do my art. And
Mm-hmm.
even like makeup artists and stuff on Instagram, while people may have controversial opinions, some people do edit their makeup on, and some people do showcase their talents in manipulation and stuff. So it's just they have a lot to do. And they have to think about, the rules. Go on.
I do think that it's important for people to just have that awareness that not everything that you see is going to be 100% realistic. You know what I mean? It's kind of that argument of like, oh, artists shouldn't say cuss words in their music because then my child will listen to it. Like, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things where you have to... I feel like as a society, people started getting used to, okay, the pictures that we see in magazines aren't all real. You know what I mean? Like some of these are photoshopped, a lot of these are unrealistic body expectations, and I just need people to bring that mindset into Instagram. And I do think that this is a little late into Instagram's lifespan, because I feel like by now a lot of people are aware that like nothing you see on Instagram is 100% real anyway. So I to me that's kind of the weird thing. I feel like people need to have that education within themselves. Like it's not Instagram's fault, and Instagram shouldn't be policing people's content for the sake of like people having, different expectations for bodies and stuff like that. Like no, you have to learn that like outside of social media, so that when you go into social media, you have that understanding that people will publish things that won't be accurate to their actual bodies or their actual talent or this or that. You know what I mean?
I think as long as people don't try to counteract that complaint and then claim that it's real with an edited photo, that's the only fault I can see with all of this, is that people still continue to say like, no, my body is like this. And it's like,
But it's not.
Yeah.
And ain't nothing wrong with that, but it's just not.
yeah.
Exactly.
There just needs to be clarification, and I think maybe the whole like before you publish a photo thing would be a good idea of just being like, I class it as this, and then it at least clarifies. Maybe there could be like an info section for like a photo, and you can find out like the day it was uploaded in detail with like time, and underneath it you can also have the categorized area of where it stands, if it's like a personal image or if it's an artistic image.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good idea. My interpretation of the thing was kind of more like Instagram was going to automatically tag anything that had been edited and like put it into a certain category, which if that's the case is like a really bad idea, because I feel like the slight good that it could do at like helping people avoid some of this stuff is just gonna basically like avoiding 2%, but then blocking out another 98% of innocent work,
Right.
which is not worth it. But I do think it's kind of one of those things where it would be cool to figure out a way to filter it, like Passion was saying, because like obviously we create our own feeds, we choose what we want to see, but there's always the explore page. And if someone is in a certain mindset, especially someone who's really sensitive to this stuff and wants to, maybe doesn't feel so good about themselves, even if they're following certain people, they might like go just be like, oh God, okay, let me go look at this hashtag. Let me go look at this person. Let me go look at that person. And then like start feeling bad about themselves. So sometimes even if you know those things, you can still like self-harm in that way by like looking at those things.
Yeah.
So, but overall, I feel like if you had to make a yes or no response, like just completely, I would say no. But if they can really nuance it and do it right, I think that would be good, especially because a lot of artists are already kind of like leaving the platform anyway, or not leaving the platform, but just like, you know, it's turning into a Facebook thing where you have to pay for your content to be seen, et cetera, et cetera. So
Yeah.
How do you know when an image has been edited, though?
I think you can just tell from like the metadata of like a photo, for example. Like they'll be able to see somehow when like the file type or some property like hidden in there, they'll be able to detect. I don't know. They probably got some really, really fancy stuff.
Or if it got
There's-
uploaded through an app or something.
Yeah.
If it ultimately, I feel like people are just gonna try to make an app that counteracts that. So,
I mean, maybe they could.
Yeah.
But I mean, they do that with like, because I watch a lot of paranormal, but they do that with like ghost images to see if things have been altered or tampered with.
Interesting. Okay.
So I'm not really sure what they do exactly, but
Oh, I think I've seen something like that before too. Like where they've been like, "Oh yeah, that photo is totally edited," or it wasn't, because they do it like it's a weird thing. Yeah, now that you said that, I totally remember. They put some sort of filter on it, or they edit in a certain way that shows like the negatives of the image, and like if it's been tampered with or whatever. Like now that you mentioned that, I remember seeing that for a different thing that came up on social media a while ago, and that's
So
and
interesting.
that's how they do it. Yeah, that's really interesting. I hope that, like you said, Kisos, I hope it doesn't like censor people that shouldn't be censored in the process. And yeah, because they already have a history of like shadow banning and stuff like that with like adult content or content that isn't inherently adult but kind of goes close to that line.
Right.
So yeah, but speaking of adult content, recently a gay adult star,
I forgot to
Armond
look at this one. Okay,
Rizzo,
continue, yes.
went on social media to subtweet about a situation, and then he ended up calling out a specific studio. Basically, he claimed that there's studios of adult content for pornography that pay tops more than they pay bottoms. So in the gay community, obviously, they have certain people who top in certain scenes and they bottom in certain scenes, and there's porn stars that are known within the community for only doing either or. So people were, obviously this was a big deal because Armond is a very well-known person in the gay porn
Never seen him.
community. Of course you have it. Of course you have it. But yeah, he ended up calling out a studio, and it wasn't the first studio to do that. But it's interesting how they had that difference in it. You know what I mean? Of like, why should a top be paid more than a bottom? And people were actually talking about how maybe bottoms should be paid more because of how much work it goes into preparing for a situation. So what do you all think about this entire situation? And by the way, the studio never replied to him calling them out. And this was in late January, so this was like a week or two ago. So yeah, what do you all think about this studio not paying their performers accurately, or at least like fairly?
I think that we can chime back into equal work for equal pay. What does a top performer have to do prep for a shoot, versus what does a bottom partner have to prepare for the shoot, and how long are they going to shoot for that? So
Yeah.
does that mean, because I listened to a few things from Sophie Anderson, for example. It's a real big hole Uh, and so this doesn't just apply to maybe gay men or gay porn bottom men. It can apply to, I think, a lot of genders. And some people, they won't eat for like 24 hours before the shoot. So that's already a detriment to their health
Right.
and their well-being. Then they have to, douche or prepare themselves, depending on how long the shoot is, as well as how big the other performer is. You have to really like deep clean, or is it a shallow clean? How some of these people prepare for hours and hours and hours of just bodily like torture, basically, to be prepared for a shoot. And it's incredible that they don't get paid to prepare.
Right.
And of course, I'm not saying like maybe they should be paid by the hour to prepare. Maybe they should give a bonus for preparation. But then it's like, also, if an accident happens, do they not get that bonus? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But I think accidents happen, and there should be some sort of like forgiveness for that. But I think that they should definitely be paid more, considering that it takes a lot more effort and work. Having been a versatile person, I can definitely say that one takes more work than the other.
Right.
Amen. Yeah, half the reason why, 75% of the reason why I don't like bottoming is because I don't want to take the time to get ready. I'm just like, oh yeah, I want him to like smash me. And then I'm like, but think about all the work I have to do to get there. Never mind.
Yeah.
I mean, I think overall this conversation, like, I definitely agree. Bottom should be paid more. I did see something on Twitter though that I wish I had saved because I don't remember. I was going to try to look for it, but I forgot about this story. But someone was calling him out in saying, I wish I remembered everything, but they were saying that this was actually a little bit racist because number one, he was targeting, I think it was like, it's called Blacks on Boys was the studio name. And he was targeting them because he wanted to get paid more than the tops or something. I don't know. They were saying there was like a little bit more to it in this case. But I'm really just going off hearsay at this point. And that one of the reasons why also that the tops got paid so much more was because the tops were kind of like the stars and they were kind of the people being, seen more. It was like focused on them. Now, I don't think that necessarily means that they deserve to get paid more because like you said, equal work, equal pay, especially because bottoms are doing more most of the time. But I know that there was some more like tweets out there, but I don't know if it ever like got to a place or if it was really substantiated, but I just wanted to bring that element into it. Otherwise, I completely agree with Chalora.
People were saying that usually from a studio perspective, or even from, I guess, the fans' perspective, that it's like, well, there's no scene without a top. You know what I mean? Or kind of thing. But
there is.
But you know what I mean? But like they were saying like, they were saying that usually the tops are the stars or and this and that. But I don't know. I just think like if it's two people are working together for one project, the two of them should earn the same amount. You know what I mean? I don't think it's that big of a discussion in my head. I'm like, that's not, like
you can say it both ways. There's no scene there can be a scene with one person,
right?
However,
yes.
People usually want to see two people
at least.
You need the butt, you need the dick, you need the mouth, you need the dick, you need the hole, you need the troll, you need the you need the etc.
Are you releasing this as a single?
Yeah, it's coming.
Troll in the hole. Coming out soon. No, I get you. What do you think, Passion?
I was reading through a Paper Magazine interview with Armond Rizzo.
Oh.
Because I was not familiar with their work. This came out in, I think, February? No,
this month or
January.
Oh.
So yeah, they basically raised a lot of fair points, and I think the best quote that I can really take from it is bottoms are seen as women, tops are men who can do no wrong. It's all about masculinity, which definitely comes into play with the amount of bottom shaming that happens within the
Amen.
LGBTQIA plus community, specifically within the G.
Yeah.
And I think it boils down to just there's a lot of femme shaming, and typically women are on the bottom, and then it intertwines with bottom shaming as well. And as Chalor and Kisos were saying as well, when it comes to like equal pay, there we go.
Right.
But yeah, the paper magazine grabbed a couple tweets and embedded them, where a lot of people who did work with blacks and boys were saying that there was a lot of racial discrimination. There was a lot of like stigmatized and detectable plus models. They were saying that there were shoots with models who are too substance impaired to give consent. And there's also people who said that they, I was hired, I did a video of them, they only paid $300, and they lied ahead of time what I was supposed to get paid. And they said that they had to be two tops because the main top they had to fake that they were topping someone, and they basically did like counteract shots of someone else topping them.
Oh my god.
Then that makes you wonder how much both of them got
What?
paid then.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there was also a person of color who also said, like, back in the day as a top, they demanded higher pay and they were a shitty company back then. They said that they would have preferred the bottom, but they didn't want black bottoms. And
Right. There's a lot of racism.
That the bottoms were underpaid, and they swore that the white bottoms made more in the past and obviously the present. So yeah, it's a lot of dirt, and I think it really showcases how disgusting our community can be at times, and specifically the porn industry can really be when it comes to it. And it does showcase, like, you see how much, like undertoned racism or blatant racism happens in porn, and I can only imagine how much actually happens within, the studio's work as well.
Right. And I do think that it's intertwined with how a lot of the more well-known adult stars are leaving studios and becoming more of like OnlyFans and independent. They're owning more of their own path rather than staying within a studio. And I do think that a lot of them are playing the system of, okay, let's become known from a studio, but then let's branch out and have our own career outside of that studio so that we don't have to rely on them for work. Because some of them may have a thing with age, some of them may have a thing with like, oh, your body needs to look this way, or you can only do these types of scenes. While if they're independent and all they need to do is really have like a phone with a camera and a hotel room, and they can invite whoever they want and they could have sex with whoever they want and they can film that and earn from that, then amazing, you know what I mean? So I again, it's funny because I didn't think about it until just now, but it's funny how it kind of intertwines with a lot of the conversations that we've been having about like artists getting rid of certain expectations or certain figures in positions of power for the sake of them being more independent, for them to being more free artistically, and for them to do whatever they want, and to not have, who says that a studio is producing the best adult content anymore? Like, that's arguable these days, like nowadays you're like, well, I don't know.
Especially if you're into that like more homemade filter, which
or, like,
I very much am.
I guess.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want the fake scenes. I don't want the fake like dirty talk. Like, just give me the action and let's go.
No, I'd even agree. Like, I can't be had with like studio work now. Like, I kind of want that one-to-one intimacy that kind of like remains with it, or like this very like like webcam based work as well, because it just feels like that it's more personally made.
Yeah, I feel like I'm there.
Like...
I'm their friend.
Well, and they actually enjoy doing what they're doing, not just like, oh, here's another dick for me to
here's a
date,
scene.
you know?
That's true
Yeah.
too, because they're choosing it more.
Yeah. Or a scene that they're shooting from like multiple different angles and having to do it multiple different times in a day, where it's like with OnlyFans work, it's most likely just a one take sort of situation. They set up the camera in their dresser or in their closet or whatever, and it's like, boom, amazing. Also, I don't need to see a hole in 4K. Just, like
That's true too.
I don't
I
need that
do.
kind of.
I do.
Some people want to.
I don't
Some
need that
things are
kind
better
of
1080p.
quality. You know what I mean? Yeah, or 720. Listen, we don't need all the details sometimes. Some people do.
I'll take a hairy hole in 4K. Like,
I'll take a hairy hole for 1,000 baht.
Yes.
Alex?
Thank you, passion.
Anyway, but speaking about our LGBTQIA culture and community,
Come on, transitions.
I know I'm doing so great. This is a very interesting conversation that we're about to have. So the actor Jameela Jamil, I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your
yeah,
name.
you said
I
it
think
right.
that's right.
So she got hired a few days ago to be a judge in a voguing show coming to HBO Max. And immediately there was controversy because people were like, wait, but voguing comes mainly from the queer scene. It's like a lot of our safe spaces, and it was a lot of an underground community that happened when celebrities wouldn't come out, celebrities wouldn't be our allies and stuff like that. And they were weirded out by the choice to have her. And then it was rumored that she was going to be the host as well, which everybody confirmed it wasn't true. But people were like, why is this, for all intents and purposes, straight woman taking a space that could be taken by literally, there's so many queer celebrities nowadays that could perfectly fit into that role. And people were like, why are we choosing her over everyone else? And then she came out. So Jameela came out as queer, as far as I'm aware. I didn't read the whole thing. People were clowning the fact, they were like, is she leaving Fifth Harmony? Because she posted like a notes app thing. And there's a lot to talk about here, because there's first of all, she titles the situation with Twitter is brutal. Like, that's the title of her, like, notes. And there's the conversation that people were saying that, people bullied her into coming out, or people forced her to come out in order for her to say that she's qualified to be a part of the show. And some people are saying the opposite. Some people are saying, she's just coming out for damage control. And she's like, no, I'm qualified because I'm queer. My thing about this whole situation is, it's not my fault that you portray yourself in a way that, like, she was saying in her notes, I really read through it, and she mentioned how she's had the rainbow emote on her name, but it's like, people aren't gonna assume that you're within the LGBTQIA community just because you have a rainbow next to your name.
Right.
Like, I know that for her, it could have been like a big step for her to be like, okay, I'm coming out without coming out. But unfortunately for her, there's such a thing within our culture of queer baiting that people were just afraid that it was going to happen again. They were like, why is this, person taking our space? Why is she? And then it's like speculation. Like, she has a rainbow next to her name. Does that mean that she's in the community? Is she going to make us think that she's a part of the community and then she's not? Like, there's a lot of layers to that. But I think people were well intentioned. You know what I mean? Like, when they were saying like, you shouldn't be a part of the show, they were well intentioned, because for all intents and purposes, we all thought that she was just a straight woman. You know what I mean? And we were like, well, get out of our space, woman. You know what I mean? So like, I think for her to turn this into, oh, like, Twitter is awful and I've been bullied into coming out, like, that's, to me, that's a stretch. To me, that's a reach in a way. But I don't know. What do you all think?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I read another article because I was trying to look at it more. And what I saw was mostly, although I think some people were critiquing the fact that she was a straight woman, or, you know, they didn't realize that she was a queer woman, I should say, they were even more critiquing the fact that she has no idea and no concept of what ballroom is. So they're like, why is it you and Megan Thee Stallion and then just a couple people from the ballroom culture, when, you know, you could have gotten, if you wanted someone else current, you could have gotten maybe like Cardi B or Nicki Minaj or other people who share more like stuff from the ballroom scene, even if they're not in it, people more associated with it. And I saw also Jameela's response. She kind of said like, you know, I totally get that and understand that. But part of why I wanted to be a part of this is because I have a bigger platform than a lot of these people. And I want to be able to bring this show that otherwise might not be able to get off the ground, and be able to help that happen. So then we can bring more of that power back to these marginalized voices. But then I saw another thing, because I was kind of like, oh, that makes sense. You know, sometimes you kind of like the leeway that I gave Kim Petras in the beginning, where I was like, you know what, she just needs, maybe she's working with this, you know, sexual predator, assaulter, harasser person, because it's her way to get into the mainstream, and she's doing what she has to do right now so that later she can bring in more LGBT people and queer people and people of color and bring people up. But that didn't really happen with Kim, and it's not really happening with Jameela, because Johnny Sabili, who is another like prominent person, like actor, I don't know what else he does, but he's like kind of a secondary actor in Pose. He was one of the characters who's not in there anymore. What was I gonna say? Oh, but he was like, you know what? Yeah, I get what you're saying, Jameela, but look at Pose. Like, that show didn't have any household names, and now they're all household names. Yeah. So like, if you really want to think about it, you didn't need to have household names, or you could have taken someone who was involved in Pose, or you could have taken someone like, you know, kind of a crossover person. Like I saw Michelle Visage said something like, oh, they didn't even come to me at all. You know, the T girl or something. Right. When she was talking to, I think her name was Tracy. I don't know her full name, but she ran like House Gucci. I don't remember exactly, but if you Google it, where it's like you could have had someone who's still a name, but more connected to the ballroom culture. And instead, Jameela Jamil is an executive producer on the show. So I think that's why, you know, she wanted herself to be in it. So long story short, it sounds like she just wanted to be in the show because she's making the show, which I can't blame her for. Right. But I think I think she didn't pay attention to people's critiques at first very well. And then turning it into a thing of I'm the victim, bully, 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 poo-poo caca. It was like, I mean, I get it. When there's a lot of hate coming at you, you're probably just kind of overwhelmed and you might not say the right thing at first. Yeah. But yeah, I think the critique was, she didn't fully understand the critique. And I don't think the critique was fully addressed. And but I am looking forward to the show. And they do have some legendary people on there. I will say I have absolutely no idea about voguing. But from the people I looked up who are on there, they seem to be very well known in the voguing scene, two of the judges and the MC. So the show is called Legendary, by the way, if you want to look it up.
Yeah. Speaking of Pose, the host is someone from the Sean Wesley from Pose. He plays Shadow Wintour on Pose, and he's reportedly the host of the show,
and also known as the King of Vogue.
Yes,
if you Google him. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming most people agree with that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with the scene.
I can't declare anything. I don't know a damn thing.
But it is very unfair that with a lot of cases of quote unquote cancel culture, it gets turned into, oh, social media is awful. People bullied me out of it and bullied me into coming out. She didn't have to come out. She could have just said, hey, I'm executive producing the show. I'm working with a lot of people that are involved in the scene, so I'm learning, and everyone around me is teaching me, and I'm just trying to uplift the community by being a vocal ally about it, and I'm trying to be, because I have a good following, I'm trying to bring that into and educating people that may follow me and stuff like that. Like, she didn't have to come out. People weren't saying like, you need to be queer in order to be a part of the show. I think their main criticism was like, well, you're not really queer or a part of the ballroom scene, so what do you know? Who are you to judge?
Yeah, literally.
So yeah, what do you think, Chalora?
I'm learning a lot because you guys said a lot.
Yeah, there was a lot of story in there.
Before we even talked about it, I had seen a lot of posts about this person usually being like a social justice warrior kind of person, I guess, on like Twitter and stuff. And usually they were pretty, like, at least from what I saw, good about it.
Yeah. She was a part of that conversation with the photoshopping as well. Like, I saw her tweets and her Instagram post about how, like, people, I think she was in a TV show and they wanted to edit out certain things in the billboards for the show, and she was like, no, that's my real body. I don't want you to like filter that or mess with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just took over while you were sipping.
But I think that, like, even in that situation where she's being attacked or not necessarily attacked, but she's felt the need to defend herself and say, I'm queer. I don't know if this was the best situation to do it. Like, because looking at it, like you guys are saying, like, it's almost like a cop-out, like,
yeah,
in a way. And like, not saying that, being queer is not a valid part of the LGBTQIA plus, but like, tell it, like, I think she needs to definitely expand on that a lot more. It's not like necessarily like we need proof, but like, it's difficult, especially with visibility and like even just action in general. Like, where exactly do we see this contribution to being queer? Where do we see all that sort of stuff? And again, you're right in saying, like, you're not part of the scene that the show is about. So like, what part of judging are you necessarily taking part in?
right.
So like, what credentials do you have to say whether this was good or this was bad? Like, I mean, RuPaul's Drag Race might have guest judges, but typically the guest judges are models, actors, makeup artists, singers, performers, all those kinds of people. So they at least have one part or several parts of the background of doing drag. So I don't know, it's difficult for me to see where she kind of fits into this other than the executive producer role, for sure.
Yeah.
I know she.
Sorry, go ahead. I really didn't have a thought there.
Oh no, it's okay. I was just gonna say she did say another like clarification she gave was like, yeah, I thought it would be important to have. Oh my gosh, Mallory is reaching me for more pets. That is so cute. She was like, yeah, she was like, I admit I don't know much about the ballroom culture, but I'm bringing kind of like the newcomer perspective to it, which is, just like not anyone else who's watching it, but a lot of people in the US are going to be exposed to it for the first time, which makes sense. But on the other hand, it's kind of like, it gets a little iffy when someone who is judging you doesn't really know a thing. It's like, okay, but why do I care about your critique when you don't know a thing about, you're not a dancer, you're definitely not a ballroom artist.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's just a lot of, she makes a good point, but then it's also kind of like not that good of a point.
Yeah, right. What do you think,
Well,
Passion? Oh, sorry.
Everybody's going to be judging at home anyway, so what's the difference?
Yeah.
See, I'm really familiar with her because she used to present in the UK. And she's been on my TV screen since I was like a kid. So I'm very familiar with Jameela. since she's kind of made it over to the States and got acting roles, I wouldn't say that she's changed into a different person, but it's interesting to see how she's really changed her brand, and also kind of like altered into this very progressive thinking person who also relies on the sake of like, you can grow from cancel culture and stuff like this, which is all cool, but I wish that she would also use this as a way to showcase that instead of going, I'm queer, because I absolutely respect her coming out, and apparently this isn't the first time that she's technically quote unquote came out. She's also specified in tweets back in November or December that she wasn't straight, and this was in a reply to someone who was trying to reply saying like, I wish like straight women would stop saying that they're married and stuff, and then she replied like, oh no, I'm not straight, so don't know who you're talking about. So there wasn't any prodding of making her come out. I also don't want to take away, and I feel awful for saying this, and there's no takeaway from anything, I kind of don't like how she hasn't really clarified where she is on the spectrum. Of course, queer is on the spectrum, but I don't know, something doesn't rub me right about it, because she's in a relationship with James Blake, who is a musician, a Grammy-winning musician, I believe. And I don't know, it's just, it kind of seems like a very automatic response to make, is that she was like, okay, here's at least some of an answer to some people who are clarifying that I'm not under like the queer spectrum. So she's given kind of like an answer of being like, I'm queer, which can be good. But the main response that I've seen from people within the ballroom scene, which I do closely follow, I have watched Paris is Burning multiple times, one of my favorite films, which doesn't give me the upper hand in any sort of way. I also love and appreciate Pose, and I have watched countless documentaries about the ballroom scene. I've never participated in a ball myself or ever witnessed one, as much as I wish to. But if anybody asked me for like opinions regarding like the ball scene or wanted me on like a panel, I'd just be like, no, like that's not my place. I don't participate in them, therefore I don't have any input. It's like Robert Pattinson has more credentials than what Jameela Jamil has. Robert Pattinson used to attend the balls with FK Twigs when they were dating. Is he on this panel? Like, it's just, I don't know what she's doing, and being queer doesn't like automatically qualify you to take up a space in culture because you're queer. Like, that doesn't give you the upper hand. Like, if you're attending a ball, you just saying like you're queer and attending doesn't mean like, oh, okay, come in.
Right.
Like,
I feel like she said, I'm queer, and then everyone was kind of like, okay, and that's not the point.
Like, the point is that it's taken away voices from the ballroom scene who have already had decades and decades of their craft taken away from them. I mean, even when Madonna released Vogue, it was condensed and it took away from the scene. It gave them more of a platform, as you can see in season 2 of Pose, if anybody's watched it.
Yes, girl.
It documented how great it was to give them more of like a platform to perform, but that therefore doesn't mean that they haven't suffered, and it's become more of a condensed meaning of Vogan. And I just hope, I will watch the show, I look forward to it, but I do hope that she has recognized now to kind of sit back a little and kind of like push the people within the culture to speak more. But yeah, I don't really have much to say. I think she knows that what she's done is wrong, but she also knows a day before filming, which she stated in the notes, that it might be too late to kind of like pull out of it.
Right.
And I wish that she didn't take all of his backlash though, because what does Megan Thee Stallion know?
Yeah, I feel like she kind of took the brunt, and then, but I saw other people were like, well, yeah, why Megan? You could have had like done it more like Drag Race, where they have like 3 regular judges and 1 rotating judge. Like maybe Jameela even would have gotten less, clap back, if kind of like what Ruby was saying too, if she was just like, I'm the exec producer, so to be honest, I just wanted to be included. But that's why, I brought on this panel of people, and we have 1 rotating judge, celebrity judge or whatever, instead of like, I think they're gonna have, I think it might be 5 judges plus an MC. So unless I read it wrong, it was going to be two other like ballroom expert legends, Amazon Leone and I forgot the other name, but two legends, then Megan Thee Stallion, Jameela Jamil, and then one more rotating celebrity guest. But people were like, you should have had like three legends, one rotating celeb, and then Jameela, if you really wanted to do it, do your thing, but also know what we're
They
saying.
could have easily got more people. Like I specified, just like FK Twigs right then.
Yeah, they mentioned, someone mentioned that too.
Like she would have been fantastic on this panel. And her performances alone incorporate so much of the ballroom scene, and she attends balls and but yeah, like I ironically just said, like Robert Pattinson has more credentials than what Jameela Jamil has because he's attended them in, you know, with FK Twigs when they were dating. And the fact that Jameela Jamil almost feels like being queer is an upper hand is like laughable, because while Robert Pattinson is very hush hush about sexuality and stuff and is very like not labeling, he has attended more than what Jameela ever has on record. She didn't say that she's ever attended one, I don't think. And it's kind of like the annoying thing about this is that she hasn't even like done her research.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know when this is supposed to start, do you?
She's recording like tomorrow.
Oh.
Is what she, yeah.
Yeah,
so
they're
today.
filming, today or something.
Yeah. So it's a bit sad that she hasn't even said like, oh, I've tried to research as much as I could. I've attended boards. I've done this. And
right. That's true too. That would be a way to satisfy people, even if it's not perfect. You know, there's a lot of things she could have done in preparation that seems like she didn't think about.
But I hope Megan has at least done that. But then at the same time, she's a busy girl too. So I don't know if they've managed to fit that in and just kind of like signed up to something of being like poses like up and rising, and you know, the ballroom scene is like the it thing at the moment. So they were like, okay, cool. It sounds fun. Love Drag Race. Let's go. Like,
oh yeah.
I don't know. Well, you know.
I do appreciate that she did take her influence and did executive produce the show that will be airing, that will be another representation for the community rather than Drag Race. I love that. But just because you're someone who's famous and executive producing a show, it doesn't mean that you should be in it, kind of thing. Like, I think the community is not being like, oh, you're horrible, you shouldn't even do this. Like, they're like, this is a cute idea, love the concept of the show, but maybe have other experts on the show. And I can understand her perspective of being like, okay, I'm gonna be the perspective of the newcomer. Because, that's gonna always, like, obviously they can cut the cameras to her and be like, and she's always gonna be shook at everything, and she can be kind of like the person that a lot of the audience or some of the audience will relate to, like when it comes to the reactions. So it's interesting. I think it's interesting, and I think she could have been like maybe the first celebrity judge. She could have been like, hey, I'm the executive producer of the show. I don't know what I'm doing, but I wanted to uplift the community, and there's that, Like, she could have easily been the first guest and then just ran off stage after the first episode, and then she could have just produced the show.
Well, I'm hoping that's the case with like the second season, if there is one. Kisos just posted a tweet in our little group chat, but one of the replies that struck with me from Johnny, who is on the cast of Pills, and just saying how the show is called Legendary. Most of the people that will come to compete on the show will already be from the scene, so why not just go to the community, pay, and turn the camera on? The rebranding of Ballroom from a different gaze feels unnecessary. And I do agree. It's kind of like it just kind of reads as kind of like a fad in a way, and I hate to say it like that, but it just kind of feels like, the ballroom scene is like in at the moment. Let's pull off.
Well, they're making it a fad,
Yeah.
They're like, oh, look at this quirky thing that we found.
It doesn't feel like a celebration of the art, and it just feels like more of a I don't know. It's like America's Got Talent, but with ballroom, and it's like
Yeah.
I'm a little bit worried that it's gonna be condensed. Hopefully not with the panel being, incredible aside from the two that we have critiques about. Like they are ballroom legends. But I I hope that they learn from this and last minute they're like, right, we need to gather everything all together and really sort this out after the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's but yeah, I'm really curious about Megan Thee Stallion because I've never heard of her or attended balls, while like Rihanna, on the other hand, a name that has been named, she has like I think she hosted several balls in the past, and she's ultimately like attended every single one that she's hosted.
Yeah, it's all very strange.
It's an interesting selection of people because there's so many celebrities who are ingrained with that culture, and they've just kind of snubbed them and ignored them because availability obviously exists, but Jameela Jamil, interesting selection.
Yeah.
Well, it's self-selection, so
Right. Yeah. If you're the executive producer of the show, it's kind of like Tyra being like, well, I'm producing Top Model, so I guess I'm the hosting. Nobody else is going to host. I'm not going to put Naomi on.
yeah, but she did have experience.
People had the
Yeah, of
complaint
course.
about Rita Ora when she did it too.
Yeah.
When Rita Ora did a season of Top Model, it was kind of like, well, she's modeled, but she's more of a singer.
Right.
And she's had like brand deals and stuff, but does that mean that she is on the professional level of basically ultimately deciding on these like people's fates?
Right.
Yeah.
And what happens with their careers?
It's like kind of like what Laura was saying with other people. Like she'd be a good guest judge,
Yeah.
but not a good host for the whole thing.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But there hasn't been a big breakout star of the ballroom scene unless they were going to be like, well, Billy Porter isn't like massively ingrained in the ballroom scene and is more of a counteract of it thanks to Pose. I think even hiring Billy Porter to host this would have been a good idea in comparison with like Drag Race.
Yeah.
How they kind of need RuPaul as a backpedal for it because you need a name to go with a show. And Billy Porter would have been a great, well, there could have been so many people. Like, there's so many people on the cast of Pose. Not to give a critique to Billy Porter, but there are so much trans talent on that cast that are so ignored, and Billy Porter kind of like gets like a pedestal, if you will.
Yeah.
So
right, I feel like he's kind of become the star of the show.
Yeah,
which he deserves to be in that spot, but so do other people.
When there's so many people who are snubbed, it's disappointing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I get passionate about the ballroom scene as much as I still remain to be. I know. As much as I'm not completely educated on it, I try to be. And I recognize that they are basically, if you will, like our ancestors of the LGBTQIA plus culture. And I think we should all pay our dues. And regardless of who is on this panel, we should all watch the show and give it more attention than Drag Race, please and thank you.
Yes.
I'm certain this show will actually have trans talent, which Drag Race cannot relate to.
Yeah. I just think, it's important to have a conversation of like, sure, maybe like 10 years ago or even... 10 years is a pretty good reference. Like, if we were to do this 10 years ago, the community wouldn't have said anything. We probably would have accepted any crumbs that got thrown our way. But I feel like we're at a point where we've gotten representation. So, like, we just need it to be better. It's like it's not like we're no longer represented anymore in media. But it's like, if you're going to do it, you're going to have to do it right.
We've also never really had kind of like the platforms to complain and actually give a great critique and we're actually listened to. Like the news reports and stuff now link to people's tweets, like general people. You don't even have to be famous anymore to critique anything and be publicized for it. And it's great because we're finally listened to as a community. But of course, a lot of people see it as us being ungrateful. But the thing is like we've been misrepresented for how many decades now? And it's about time that we finally got it accurate and we got our shit together. And the people who want to claim that they're allies actually get our stories absolutely correct. And even if it's just a judging panel it needs to be solid and authentically correct.
Yeah.
Period.
Because
Amen.
it's already odd that I can already envision that people that are legendary within the community will be just portrayed as like contestants in this show, and they're going to have to kind of quote unquote prove themselves in this show.
That's true too.
And it's like for them to be judged by people who are not even a part of the scene is odd, because like if you look at, for all intents and purposes, RuPaul isn't the best representation of the community, but he is a legend within the drag scene. So all the queens, if you know, or most queens go into that show having some sort of appreciation and kind of like looking up to her, right? It's kind of, you know, with Tyra and Top Model, all those models went into the show looking up to Tyra. But these contestants, they're probably not going to be looking up to some of the judges, because they're going to be like, who are you? You know, you've never been a part of our
Right.
scene. Why are we supposed to impress you for the show? You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's
It's
kind
like-
of like Santino on the first few seasons of Drag Race.
Yeah.
They were like, well, what do you know about fashion? You didn't even win your competition.
Yep,
Ooh.
that's true. You know?
And Keith, as you mentioned Michelle Visage's tweet, and I'm actually very surprised to see that she wasn't contacted. She may be an ally to the community, but she was brought up in the ballroom
Yeah.
scene. And while it would have been given, I believe, I'm assuming here, a cis white woman a platform in this scene, and while we kind of want to give an excuse that while Jameela is a person of color and also queer, it would have been a sake of like educational purposes, because there aren't just queer people in the ballroom scene as well.
Mm-hmm.
There
Yeah.
are people of all kinds. Like if you look at all the different categories, there are literally categories dedicated to, you know, like passing and being like fish. And while I don't say that in a derogatory way or a transphobic way, that is literally what the categories are called. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you have to fit a certain, I don't know. It sucks that we're even like explaining this after having so much education about it throughout the past few years, and it's just like, oh, Jameela Jamil just pisses me off.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair though, I feel like even Michelle Visage would have gotten a ton of criticism. You know, they would have been like, "Why are you?"
Yeah, and
You know,
I feel like
And it would be fair.
it would have been great, because she would have tried to educate and tried to reinstate to people that she has been a part of the ballroom scene. Maybe not recently, absolutely not, but in the 90s, definitely, she was a part of it.
I don't think she'd do it anyway. With the amount of Drag Race seasons that they film a
no,
year,
she's
she
probably
wouldn't.
she's in like some sort of deal, like some sort of cult with RuPaul. And RuPaul's probably like, you can be a contestant on other shows, but you can't be,
Like
No.
a guest, or
Right,
like
you
yeah.
can't be like a judge.
Maybe she
A
could have been a
non-compete.
celebrity guest, but RuPaul.
Maybe she will be. Who knows? After this
Season 2, hey, listen.
Yeah.
Who
But
knows?
hopefully it's a success. I look forward to watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanna watch for sure. But yeah, I think that's the main takeaway for today's show is like, if you're gonna have us in your space, make sure that you at least are educated about it, and you don't want to be, you don't want to just put us on just to be the spectacle or to.
And always reach out for information. Don't shy away
Yes.
from asking questions.
Yeah, and I think even after it was announced, before she did like the full like kind of apology Twitter attack coming out story, she could have. I mean, I don't know her at all. This is
Reply
just
to
me.
people.
But just
Like-
taking the second to maybe like DM a couple of these people that are saying stuff like Angelica Ross or Johnny Sibilli and just be like, hey, I totally get it. And, just try to be more sensitive and come back with a better response. I'm like, who's her publicist? Hello, ma'am. Did you not talk to them beforehand? Like, do you not have someone for this? I'm available.
Even the notes app was a bit passive aggressive with the title too.
Yeah, it's like,
It was
oh,
just-
you guys are bad, and I'm having to come out because you guys are putting me on blast. Like, no.
And then blaming it on the ballroom scene for the sake of why you didn't come out is because of this accusation of bandwagon and stuff. And it's like, oh,
Woof, woof, woof. Too spicy
don't
for
do
me.
this to them. Don't do this to them.
Yeah. And I think, like Chalora says, as someone who has been vocal about other issues and trying to, like, educate people and seemed to be someone who's very like not cancel culture-y. You know what I mean? Like it's weird that she then turned into the person who's like, cancel culture, y'all try to cancel me because and you try to make me come out and all of this. And it's like, where did all that education go? You know what I mean? It's like, it just goes to show that sometimes you can be educated about so much and then still be lacking in others. And that's okay. Like, I feel like that's the thing that sometimes people don't understand with our show or with other people who criticize things on social media. It's not, people aren't trying to take away anything from you. People are just saying like, hey, maybe you're a little uneducated to be talking about this. Like, feel free to like reach out and I can help you, kind of thing. Or like,
it even,
you know,
it even compares to you just like letting go of this topic in particular, Ruby, because you aren't so educated about it, and maybe leaving it to people who know a bit more, even if it's just like he knows a smidge more about the ballroom scene.
I don't know a
watching
damn thing.
Pose.
I do watch Pose though.
Even just like throwing it in my lap, who has tried to ingest as much as I could.
Yeah.
Like, people should know the areas of where they're not educated, and always ask questions if you want to be informed more. And I'm a little disappointed to see that Jameela just didn't seem to do that and just kind of almost lashed out in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, it's for a girl who kind of like built herself up to being, you know, progressive and understanding and stuff, it seemed a bit disgusting of her to kind of like point a finger of being like, you, the ballroom scene, have now made me come out.
Yeah,
right.
It makes all of her past work, it kind of weakens it too, you know, it kind of taints it, because it's like, okay, was all that genuine, or were you just trying to do that for like social media clout and the stories and the clapbacks and, you know?
Or is this all an act to get more attention to this show?
I mean, that too.
No.
I mean, it will. I hadn't heard about this show until
That's
this.
true.
So
That's
Ballroom
true.
scene tweeting about this. There were so many people.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the drag community started going into it because, you know, it goes hand in hand in different ways, and we all had it on our timelines.
That's true. We'll see. I do want to watch the show, and I do commend her for bringing this to HBO and for her to be like, yeah, this is a good idea, let's do it. But the way that things were handled weren't great, to say the least.
Major props to HBO for taking it too.
Yes, for sure. And hopefully, like, worldwide, there's going to be, like, options for us to watch in other ways. Because I think it's HBO Max, right? Which is US exclusive, as far as I understand.
Oh, is it?
I don't know.
Don't worry, girls.
Scourging for the links.
Yeah,
we'll be the outsiders will be looking for other ways to get it.
Oh yeah, the service isn't even launched yet. It launches in May, so.
Oh, so they're rushing to get it done. Like she's filming in February, and they're rushing the process, huh?
I don't know if they're gonna go for launch or if they're gonna maybe go for like summer.
We'll see.
Everyone start your free trial halfway through the season, so then you can get the full season before it runs out.
Exactly. That's how you do it when you're on a budget. Speaking of misrepresentation, Miss Alexis Michelle on social media has
Alexis Stone.
Nope. That one, yes, not the Drag Race girl, Alexis Stone.
That just made my Amazon Echo go off.
So she has a history of doing makeup, I guess, illusions of POC individuals. And Chalora actually brought this to our attention in our group chat. So I feel like you're the best person to introduce the topic further and to get the conversation going. So I'll give you the floor to do so.
So Alexis Stone is most popular for her transformative makeup. So she'll like do celebrity looks where she completely transforms her face into even like babies or like Yoda or like, you know, other
Or Baby Yoda.
And things like that. Recently, there's been a lot of hubbub about um, her doing a transformative look of Lizzo. And she did it in a way that she completely changed the complexion of her skin to white rather than her original skin. And this caused a lot of uproar among drag queen people of color in general. There's a lot of people either defending her or attacking her.
Right.
Someone like me, for example, I'm a little. I can't. Sorry, it's difficult to choose a side necessarily because, like, should I be? I don't know what side I should be on this. You know, doing a bit of research. It's not. Yes, Alexis Stone is white themselves, so they discussed on their channel that they didn't want to do it on someone else because it's the Alexis Stone show. It's not somebody else. But they have done makeovers on other people before, which was also discussed in the argument. The other part of this discussion is that the makeup that they did of Lizzo was not beautiful. It was not representative of what we all see Lizzo as a large, beautiful Black woman.
Yeah.
Because like looking at the photo, she looks old. She looks sad. She does not look beautiful.
Doesn't she have like a double chin as well? Like
Yes.
Yeah, that part was weird.
Maybe Lizzo does have a double chin. I don't know, but like,
Right.
I don't know. I feel
very
like
exaggerated.
when people do makeup of other people, usually you don't want to do them dirty. Like if I have a double chin, I really hope and pray that whoever does my like a version of my makeup doesn't give me a double chin. You know, because obviously when I do my makeup, I would hide things that I don't like. I keep having trouble blocking off my beard, but like, you know, I'm working on it. But Lizzo herself did see the transformation and she had a good laugh about it. She was very nice about it. She wasn't upset. So that's a good sign. But looking through Alexis Stone's Instagram, you can find that they have done people of color before, such as RuPaul, Kanye West, and Will Smith. In those makeup looks, they did do the original skin tone, but kind of like lightened it up a little bit, I think, to kind of make it almost mixed color.
Right.
It looked representative of those people, and so I think in that respect, people weren't offended because, and I posted those pictures in our group chat. If you want to look at them. But they looked like the people that they were supposed to be. Whereas the issue with Lizzo was like, if you took the photo or you saw the makeup, you kind of have the option to like look at it and say, this doesn't look good, or like, this doesn't look like Lizzo, or this isn't beautiful. Ask people, talk to people, which I don't know if that happened, but a lot of people are having a bit of an uproar about this. Because instead of, you know, the obvious don't do blackface sort of thing, it's now whiteface.
It's like whitewashing, yeah.
Whitewashing, yeah. And so, what do you guys think?
One thing that I saw that was interesting was that as you were saying that, like talking about how she didn't do the look in a way that was flattering, I thought it was interesting that one of the people, the POC people that she decided to, I guess, portray was RuPaul. And
yes,
she went with a notoriously unflattering photo of Ru.
yes.
It's that Project Runway appearance that everybody like criticizes and mocks. So I thought it was interesting how It honestly doesn't seem like it comes from a place of malice. I just think it comes from a place of, oh, that person or this topic or this photo is making the rounds. Let me do my own thing with it. But I do think it's a weird concept to, I don't know, like I feel like with makeup transformation, it's one thing to change your features. I think it's going far when it's like changing your complexion. Even if it's slightly, even if like, it's that middle term where you maybe don't do like 4 shades darker, but you do 2. It's one of those things like I just don't feel comfortable with it, because it's one of those things where it's like I love that people I love that person for who they are, and seeing this person do their own thing with it is kind of like, I get it, but I accept it more if it's like a fashion thing. Like if you replicate someone's outfit, but then you do your own thing with makeup, I can see that as like, oh, that's cute. That's a cute tribute. But I think it's you don't want to like whitewash anyone, and to open the conversation for, oh, you look better than her. You know what I mean? Like you don't want that kind of conversation, even though I don't feel like anyone would say that about those pictures specifically.
I don't know. Someone might, just because people always have that type of opinion about stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to open that door. I think and I don't think that, Lizzo's reaction should be like, okay, Lizzo liked it or Lizzo didn't care, so you shouldn't either. Like, I think it's bigger than that. Like, I think that it's someone like Lizzo, she's just a jolly person. She's just happy that she got a shout out. She's an easygoing person. She's not gonna she doesn't give 2 shits about things generally. You know what I mean? Like she gives a shit about important things, and I feel like for her, an Instagram post isn't a big deal. So you know what I mean? Like I just feel like she's like, yeah, who cares? Like, thanks for the shout out kind of thing, but at the end of the day, she doesn't really care. I did think it was interesting that she responded to the criticism by being like, oh, but it's me. I don't do makeup on others, when she's had before. It's like, you could have just done that, Like, I don't know. I to me, it's weird. Like, there's so many other people that you could have done that wouldn't that wouldn't require you to change your skin tone to portray them or to transform into them, that I would just stay out of it completely, because you wouldn't want to be the white person of someone else, but you also don't want to match your skin tone to theirs and do blackface. So I feel like it's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, I think what came to my mind when I was seeing this was, number one, you go on the picture and you see a lot of people that, I won't assume anyone's ethnicity fully, but I'll say it seemed like it was kind of balanced of some people saying like, it's never okay, like don't. Mm-hmm. And also some people saying, or I guess there were kind of like three camps. There were like some people saying like, don't. Some people saying like, I appreciate that you did this and kept the skin color white, because some people don't learn and will still try to, do a medium tone, kind of like Ruby was saying. And then I saw other Black people saying that they wish that she had just done it in Lizzo's actual skin color, because it's more of a transformation versus like a minstrel type of performance. Now, obviously, Lizzo nor any of those people commenting can speak for any of the, the full Black community, African American community. Yeah. And I obviously cannot either. But my perspective on this kind of related back to digital blackface, which we were talking about a week or 2 ago, where it was kind of like, depending on basically, to re-summarize what digital blackface was, or what we talked about in the context of, we talked about it as people on Twitter, for example, who use like only reaction GIFs of Black people and videos of Black people and memes of Black people, and their whole personality is stolen from a Black person because they don't have a personality and that's how they want to be cool. So I feel like, but then some people were saying, well, but if no one uses Black memes, like if only Black people are allowed to use Black memes, then it can kind of censor Black creators and, not these funny people who deserve more platform and deserve to be memed and shared and, laughed with, not at, laughed with. So it made me think of that in this scenario because, she did Lizzo and she did it with doing, her own or close to her own like white skin tone. Now, it definitely wasn't the most flattering, but I thought it was well done. It wasn't ugly. It wasn't like a wax sculpture, you know, when they pull out the wax sculpture of Nicki Minaj or whoever the recent one was, and you're like, that's not them.
It was Nicki.
That's not them. So for me, I was kind of thinking of it as, well, if this person only ever portrays white people, but she could be, you know, shining a light or sharing her platform more with people of color or Black people especially, it just kind of gets you into this other thing where like it also kind of goes into the like appreciation versus appropriation discussion, where it's like, okay, was this appropriating Lizzo's image and skin color, etc., for clout, or was she just appreciating someone she looks up to and wanted to pay homage to her in a really safe way because she likes Lizzo and she wants to, you know, shout that out? So again, I do not speak for the Black community, but that was just what I saw, because I think there can be a fine line between doing things artfully and paying homage to people, which other people do at, you know, Halloween too, when they're like people who have dressed up as celebrities of a different race, but done it in a tactful way. So from my perspective, this was done tactfully. And the fact that I hadn't heard controversy about her other similar looks, like with Will Smith and Kanye and other people that Chalora mentioned, I just wondered, you know, I'm sure there was in her comment section some of that stuff, but it just made me wonder why with Lizzo this was happening. Not that it doesn't deserve to be talked about, but it just made me wonder like why I was only seeing it now. But that could just be because I wasn't paying attention before. I don't think I would have seen this without Chalora anyway. So yeah.
Passion.
Hi. I don't have a lot to say. I don't like Alexis Stone for many, many reasons, and this controversy is one of them. This has happened many, 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 many times in the past, and it's been a controversy between drag personalities for a while. She's pretty big in the UK because she's got a palette with Makeup Revolution, which I'm disappointed to see didn't change, you know, anything.
Right.
Because the second that got announced, people were saying, well, why does she have a palette, etc., and they weren't taking that into consideration. Yeah.
What do you mean with that, with the palette?
As in, so she had a collaboration with Makeup Revolution, who is an affordable brand in the UK, and a lot of UK queens do use them. But they didn't take into consideration of the controversies in regards to like several accounts of blackface, when, you know, collaborating with her, and people were kind of bringing it up on them, and they didn't even choose to respond about it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, it's something that always hits her comments whenever she does blackface. I'm not even gonna say, you know, allegedly, because, you know, it's blackface.
Yeah.
And she just opts to block people on social media because of it, rather than actually responding to it, because she feels like she's already owed enough explanations, and she's used the excuses of, I wouldn't be able to reach the mark of representing them properly if I didn't darken my skin and stuff. So to see that she's now flipped it and started to lighten skin in order to still resemble them, I would just, in a way, I don't want to censor art, but then I just think like, just don't bother. Like, you know, you're going to be met with this, but then again, like any criticism, you know, is good publicity anyway.
Yeah.
Well, if I may ask you, Passion, since it seems you're pretty set in the opinion, what do you think about what I said in terms of like, then, I mean, should it just be a thing of her? I mean, obviously, I don't really know her either, so I don't really know that she had this past. But say there was a neutral person who did like a really great look of really loved Lizzo and wanted to do a really great look of her and keep the skin color white or whatever. How would you feel about that? Or anyone?
I can think of like an inspired look absolutely being like valid. I think
I guess it's different when it's full imitation
area,
too,
yeah.
you know?
It's a really rocky area, because then you go into the area of like minstrel, and it's unfortunate that it does go into that territory, but unfortunately, like after hundreds of years of just facing this as like from people of color have constantly always felt like this, it's just kind of like it's not hard for us to back away and just, you know, not do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do understand some people are set in their ways of being like, well, I want to represent myself properly and I want to do this. And I respect that. And I do think craft is something that should be honored. But repeated acts of doing this, it's just, you know, head ass behavior. And unfortunately, there's no telling her. And she's going to do it either way.
Right. That's
She
very
knows
true.
that
Whether
she's
she gets, you know, critique or not, too.
I think the biggest backlash was when she did Northwest, by the way. She
Oh, I think I did see that a while back.
Yeah.
Okay, wait.
that
Yeah.
was kind of like the worst of it all.
Yeah. Do you
I'm
think
gonna have
that
to.
if someone wanted to do like a look like this of someone that's not of their race, do you think it's I mean, personally, I think it's a lot safer if you really want to do it, and you really are inspired by someone like that, to ask someone who is of that race or
For sure.
if you can use them as the model and then perform your art on them.
Yeah, I mean, I see it as a completely different thing of transforming someone of the race to begin with. I'm obviously not one to speak for anyone,
Mm-hmm.
but immediately it does seem like an easy answer.
Yeah.
But you know, her. I think Chalora, you said her answer to it was that because it's the Alexis Stone, like,
Sure.
yeah, that she just doesn't want to, you know, put the spotlight on someone else.
Yeah.
And then
Well, I think it takes a lot more talent to change someone else's face than it does your own face, because you know your. So the transformation would be so much different seeing someone else. You know, you don't know their cheekbones, you don't know their eyebrow bones, you don't know their chin, their jawline. You know,
I think that's why she doesn't want to, because
she's like, I don't know if I can do
yeah,
it.
Right.
she's had a lot of surgery,
uh-huh.
and she knows how to transform it thanks to, you know, having her cheekbones in a certain placement and stuff. So, and maybe that's why she has had a lot of surgery, is to help the transformations and stuff like that. Not to jump to conclusion, but there may be, you know, a reasoning behind why she won't transform other people, which is respected. But you know, these transformations would be so much better if they weren't treading into territory of, you know, blackface.
I think it would be more respectful for sure. Another example that I just wanted to discuss was like when I visited Spain. They have this festival that they have in the new year, which is like their Christmas, and it happens in January, and it's something with the three kings. There's like a parade.
Mm-hmm.
One of the three kings is black, and so the whole float does blackface, and they worship him. It's not meant to be like a joke. It's meant to be like admiration and honor and appreciation. The intention, not obviously not the the actual look.
Right.
And I discussed this with a few people while I was there, and they said that, you know, and just seeing, there are no people of color there to take this spot in the parade. And I mean, maybe there are, but maybe it just wasn't a discussion, and maybe they don't want to force such a small minority in that country to be that person or be that representative. And also from a cultural perspective, is what do we think about that?
Yeah,
I think there's a similar festival that happens in a European country where everyone basically partakes in like a blackface event. So I think it's a similar thing of we haven't got to a point where we're able to, I guess, quote unquote, call it out because it's become normalized a part of a culture celebration.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really difficult because with a lot of these countries stereotypically not containing like a lot of people of color or anybody, you know, frankly, who isn't white or at least white passing, it's kind of like a problematic area of where no one has the platform to call it out, and they're obviously not going to listen to a lot of Western-based people who kind of form this opinion that it's wrong to still do it. It's a tricky one. It really is,
Yeah.
because it's how do you inform these people who are so normalized to this and don't see it as offensive, when in reality, if they had approached someone who was black in that way, they would completely feel utterly like offended and attacked for just witnessing that.
Yeah, I think it's things that need to be addressed within the country's like politics and stuff like that. Like each country, as times get more progressive and newer generations go into the political route, I think it's important for that to be, especially because as every country and every culture becomes more globalized, with tourism and stuff like that, I do think it's important for everyone to be more aware of what their culture is doing. Because it's no longer a thing of like in Portugal, there's only Portuguese people. In Spain, there's only Spanish people, etc. You know what I mean? Like nowadays, people come from all over the world to a multitude of different countries to pursue opportunities, to pursue whatever. So I do think that it unfortunately it's one of those things where it has to come within the country's culture to upgrade it and to change it.
Or at least enlighten some sort of negative opinion.
Exactly. I do think it's different though whenever a celebrity, it happens sometimes with celebrities where they partake in those things knowing better, or and then it's like, oh, I was on vacation there and they were doing it, so I was just being a part of it. But the difference is like maybe within that festival in Spain, maybe they don't know any better culturally. You know what I mean? Like within their culture, for them, it's like it's normal. But if you're an outsider and you know better, then don't partake in it. You know what I mean? I think that's the difference. Like, and even if you do know better, then don't partake in it. Just because it's tradition doesn't mean it's good, or doesn't mean it's valid, or doesn't mean it's not harmful to others. You know what I mean?
To cover my ass a little here, I didn't know they were going to do that.
Right. Yeah.
Did you
We were
feel a lot
invited
of
by
like
some Spanish people, and they were like, "Please participate in our cultural parade." We were like, "Sure, yeah, that sounds great."
Yeah. Not knowing.
Right, and then later you're like, uh-oh.
did you feel a lot of like discomfort when
I
you
absolutely
basically
did.
witnessed that?
Well, and like, our Spanish friend was like, "Oh, like let's take a picture with the, you know," and we were like, "No,
No.
no, like we're gonna get like, hated on in America, and like I don't want to be, I don't want to participate in that, even if it is cultural. Like, maybe there should be an open discussion about representation and discussing what should be done in the future that is less offensive, and maybe even more inclusive."
So the event that I was talking about at Europe one was Dutch. It's called the St. Nicholas Parade. And they said 4 months ago that they're going to replace blackface with quote unquote sooty faces.
No.
Yeah.
Right. To them, it's going to be the same thing. Like they know exactly what they're doing. They're just going to put on a little bit less, but they still call it like, I think the guy's name is like Schwarze Peter or something, which means like Black Pete, or I don't remember exactly, but the name, but yeah. So it's like, it's still going to be,
like it's still a fro. It's still like red lips. It's essentially like minstrel.
Yeah.
But they just,
but I know that's come up a lot more. Like people are talking to them and pushing for it. So over time, hopefully, it will disappear.
Yeah. And that's one of the good things about the globalization is like today we're in whatever country we live in, but then next day you're on vacation somewhere else and you want to bring that inclusivity that you've maybe learned, or maybe that has been more rooted within your own country, and then you want to, you don't want to impose on anyone's culture, but to your friends you want to be like, hey, maybe this isn't like super cool, and then they can pass it on and it can become more of an inclusive thing.
Butterfly effect.
Yes.
Make waves.
A good point was made in chat by Hope, and they said if they wear a traditional clothing, they're more likely to get killed or even harassed as a white passing person. But if a non-native person wears their culture, they can claim art without knowing the meaning of it or teachings behind it and stuff like that. So it's important for people to, like, even if your intention is to appreciate, to understand that it's not really like a cute costume that you put on for the day, and that it has a meaning for others, and that if I can totally see it, like, in any country where people of color are minorities. I can totally see it as, like, if they were to wear something that has to do with their culture, they would be hated on. They would be told, go back to insert country here, because that's unfortunately what disgusting and hateful people are like. So it's important to also understand that, you know, you need to be appreciative and thoughtful about how you're gonna portray someone else's culture, or someone, or just people within a different culture than yours. The thing for me that's also weird that I thought about, going back to Lizzo, is that it's not like Lizzo has like a signature look that she has.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't, like, it's not like, you know, with Taylor Swift, for example, she always has like the red lip thing going on. And there's certain artists that, like, Kesha has the glitter. Like, there's just certain artists that have a specific signature look to them. Well, with Lizzo, she's just a black woman. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't have like a signature look that she does with her makeup every time. She doesn't have, like, when it comes to outfits, she just wears whatever she feels comfortable in, or whatever she loves.
I'm gonna say a little something though.
Yes.
There is a signature look in Alexis' eyes, and that is the double chin.
Yeah.
And it shows. That is
that was,
basically
like,
what the main focus was.
very highlighted.
To her, by fulfilling a Lizzo look, was by including a double chin and, you know, similar makeup to maybe a red carpet look that she saw or something.
Yeah.
And that was enough for her.
Yeah.
I think that, for these kinds of things, it's important to do your research. Like, even like with what Hope was saying in the chat, if you appreciate a culture, you will do your homework and talk to a lot of people, not just like my one friend.
Right.
Not your comment section either. Like,
Right, and not the comment section.
Not a Twitter poll. You know, talk to people that really matter in that community. Talk to a wide audience of that people.
Yes.
And discuss with them, what does that mean? What is this? What is that? What do you think if I wore this? Or what do you think I should wear? Or what, you know, and if a lot of people are like, don't, then don't. You know, that's the respectful thing. If a lot of people say, you know, people for this culture or this religion or this, you know, whatever, who wish to participate but are not part of it, they wear this garb. There's usually something for that. Or, you know, they wear this headdress or this makeup. And, you know, I think that that's for anyone out there who is interested in appreciating a culture or really likes other culture, I think it's really important to hear and listen.
Amen.
Yes. I just feel like sometimes people just want to do whatever they want to do and say, oh, I'm appreciating the culture. Like, no, you're not. You just don't want to say that you're appropriating. You just want to be like, no, I'm appreciating. But it's like, well, it goes back to allyship in a lot of different ways. If it's like, if you really want to care and support that person or that culture or whatever, you want to listen to their criticism and improve upon it. You know what I mean? Because even like Chalora says, even if you talk to a range of people that tell you like, it's okay if you do this, it's okay if you do that, if there's just as much volume of people telling you otherwise, you have to also listen to that and be like, yep, I get you. Like, I I got my information from this, but I totally understand, and I will take in information from all of you too. And I think the problem as well, and you guys kind of, and you all touched on it earlier when you said that your comment section isn't the place to ask, because sometimes a lot of these figures, when they reach a certain amount of following, they just turn to their fan base. They're like, oh, people are hating on me and they did this, and then and then you just hear a lot of yes people being like, no, I love you no matter what, you didn't do anything wrong, don't apologize, mom. Like a lot of that ridiculousness. And it even happened, and to a lesser degree, it happened to us here on the show when we talked about other issues and other things, and people reaching out to their fan base and then having criticisms being reduced to, oh, they're jealous, oh, they're this or they're that. And it's like the people that will have your back no matter what will always say, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. But you don't have to listen to those people. You need to listen to the people that are being affected by the wrongdoings that you're participating in, I guess.
Well, even if I have a couple, like if I say something that's not correct or controversial, bad way, and I have a couple of those people in my community that say like, oh yeah, that's fine. Like that's not enough for me personally. Those people are, close with me, or they want to be my friend, or we are friends. So of course they're going to give me that leeway to say whatever I want. But I think it's important also as a fan to be more attentive than just, I like this person, and so I'm going to let them slide. I think it's, again, talk to people outside of your circles, even outside of that circle. Talk to everyone, and there are going to, of course, there's always going to be people who say no.
Right.
And that's the worst that people can say. But there are going to be people probably out there that agree with you or give you ideas or really listen, understand your perspective. But there's usually going to be a general consensus of this is a good idea or this is a bad idea, and here's my perspective, and here's my best advice for you, or this doesn't look good, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Today has been a great episode of Breakfast at Ruby's. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you to my co-hosts for being here. Where can people find you once again, Passion?
You can find me on twitter.com/passionpit with 2 T's, and also on Instagram at @passionpit, and then also on Twitch with just passionpit with 1 T.
Yes. What about you, Chalora?
You can find me at Chalora with a 0 instead of an O at Twitter. You can find me at Chalora just regular on Twitch, and then Chalora Flora on Instagram.
Yes, and Kisos.
And I'm everywhere, mostly, as It's Kisos. ITSKISOS. But if you're looking for my music, just put in Kisos. Okay, baby. Thank you so much.
Yes. And you can find me at Project Ruby everywhere except for Instagram, which is The Project Ruby. The one and only. Just kidding. Turns out there is a period awareness situation, and that's associated with Project Ruby, and there's even a website for it and all. And I'm like, wow, great. Love to hear that.
You should do a collab.
Yeah, I think they've been inactive for years now, so yeah, unfortunately there's no.
I was gonna say, you said you wanted to do more charity streams. There you go.
Right. Listen, let's talk about periods and why they're important. I don't know. But anyway, you can find me at Project Ruby in all those places. I am a variety content creator here on Twitch. So I do talk shows, I do tarot, I do gaming, and performances coming soon. So stay tuned. Right after this episode, we're going to be doing a little bit of an after show to talk with the community watching this live. So come watch us live sometime at Twitch. It's a great time. But for those on YouTube, It's been good. It's been great. Thank you so much for being here. Bye. See you next time.
See you soon.
See you soon.